Alright, today we're going to install the Sumosprings on my Tacoma. Here's the size difference between the regular bump stop and the Sumospring. The installation is super easy. You just remove these 4 bolts with a 19mm. I'm going to use a breaker bar in case they're stuck. Then I'm going to use the impact wrench to unscrew them. Then you just slide the U-bolts off, slide the bump stop out, slide the Sumospring in, and then put it all back together. And once I'm done, I'm going to use the torque wrench to torque them down to 73 pounds. We're also going to measure the ride height without the springs, see if there's any difference with the spring in, and then we'll do the ride height with the trailer attached. Here's our initial ride height unloaded, about 36 3/4. Here's the ride height with the trailer attached. We lost about 3/4 of an inch. Alright, here's the ride height with the trailer on and the new Sumosprings on. It's like we gained about ½ an inch back. And we're about back to where we were when we started, now that the Sumosprings are installed. They don't actually fill the whole gap. There's about 1/4 of an inch void between the spring and the frame. Alright, one potential issue I think people are going to have is that the springs, instead of the bump stops, limit your articulation. So we're going to go ahead and jack this up as far as it'll go and see how high the wheel goes up. So there definitely are some limits. When the spring is fully compressed, it is still much taller than the factory bump stop. Alright, so I've been using these springs for several months now, so I think I have a pretty good idea of how they work. I Do I think they were a good purchase? Yes and no. They do help a lot when you're towing, which is what they're actually made for, or when you have a heavy load. They make the sway, they reduce the sway a lot, but they also make the truck feel a little stiffer. Now, I upgraded my struts and shocks to the Bilstein shocks, and that made for a much better ride, especially off-road. But these springs make everything a little more stiff. There's way less body roll, and you can definitely feel the difference. As far as off-road goes, I wouldn't suggest these for an off-road build because they reduce the amount of articulation you can get in your rear end. It would be kind of nice if you could just unscrew the spring and screw back on something short like the factory bump stock instead of having to take the whole thing apart with the U-bolts. That way you could easily switch back and forth between your towing setup and your off-road setup. Yeah, so for now I'm going to leave them on. They do help when I tow the trailer. If I plan on doing any off-roading, I will probably swap them out and go back to the factory setup. Hopefully that answered any questions you had about adding Sumosprings to your Tacoma. If you'd like to see more content, please like and subscribe, and check out this next video.